I've been, writing since I was very young. I started out writing plays and short stories, and then once I finished university, and I did English literature at university, I started working on TV. So I started working on long-running drama serials, and that was my first writing job. And I worked on a Cambodian soap opera. I went and worked for the BBC abroad on a Cambodian soap opera. And then I came back and I started writing freelance movies. And whilst I was writing a movie and researching that movie, which was about an adaptation of a Jeff Noon short story, he's a British sci-fi writer, and that was about serial killers. And so I started researching into serial killers, into real-life cases, and that was when I came across the Andre Chikatilo murders, which this book is based upon. It didn't immediately occur to me to move it back to the Stalinist period. I mean, he murdered in the 70s, the 80s, and up to the 90s when he was caught, the real-life Andre Chikatilo. But what immediately leapt at me was that this was an investigation not really about him. He wasn't really the point of interest. In a way, he's quite uninteresting in the sense that he murdered for pleasure because he got pleasure from pain, and he continued murdering for so long because he wasn't caught. What was interesting to me was the way in which the police force reacted and the way in which society at large saw his crimes, which is to not see them at all. And that was what was interesting to me. So in many ways, the killer is very much at the backdrop of the story. And then it was only when I was thinking about what these things expressed about the society that I thought that it would be best to set it at the period where the regime was at its most extreme, which was under Stalin. Yeah, that was the flip, which is that the far bigger serial killer is the state, which was doing it on a massive scale. And in a sense, a definition of a serial killer tends to be that there's without a motive, and there tends to be that you pick people at random. And in a way, that's what the state was doing. It was picking these victims at random. It was pretty much eating itself. So the idea of cannibalism as well was very interesting as a sort of metaphor through this regime. And this is a killer who's been, born out of the history of these famines. And it's someone this was a society in a way that was eating itself, which is, eating its own population. So all these things were sort of bouncing around when I was writing the book, and it struck me that was a very interesting way of exploring that society through the serial killer genre.